Ian Rapoport has dropped some new trade intel as we are just one day away from the 2025 NFL trade deadline. My name is Harrison Graham. We got a ton to get into here on today's episode of Verts. And guys, you have answered the bell. We are so close to our goal, which was to hit 13,000 subscribers by tomorrow's NFL trade deadline. But we're not there yet. 47 subs away. I know there are 47 people watching right now that have not subscribed to the channel. Let's get there. Free and daily NFL and college football content. I put out my projected college football playoff rankings, which the official ones drop tomorrow. That video is out. Some other trade content, plenty for you guys to check out. It's free. All I ask is for you guys to give us a chance and subscribe. All right, let's get to some trade buzz from Ian Rapoport. And, you know, the Tennessee Titans are not a good football team. And Rapoport reports that several players are garnering interest ahead of the deadline. Here's what he had to say about the Titans. Said, the Titans have been a frequent recipient of trade calls with most of the focus on defenders such as Arden Key, Dre'Mont Jones, and T'Vondre Sweat. Wide receiver Calvin Ridley also has emerged as a potential trade target, sources say. Now, there's been other reports out there, like I know Diana Rossini said, yep, everyone's available for Tennessee except for Cam Ward and Jeffrey Simmons. Before we get to Calvin Ridley, quick thought. The T'Vondre Sweat thing would be kind of weird. He's only in his second NFL season, and he was a top 40 pick. Like, to pivot this early, you're not going to get a second for him. You may not get a third. So, like, that would be kind of a puzzling move if they went that route, unless they just did not like the fit of him on their team. Now, as far as Calvin Ridley goes, I think it's kind of a no-brainer. He's sneaky 30 now, 30 years old. I would dump him and get out of his contract. I know that doesn't help your quarterback Cam Ward for the rest of this season, but you need a complete reboot in that wide receiver room, in my opinion. And if you can get a middle-round pick, a fourth, third, certainly, for Calvin Ridley, I think I'd be pulling the trigger on that. I don't know what a trade looks like. If it's like a sixth, okay, maybe keep him. But if you can get a 4, I think I would trade Calvin Ridley. Okay, let's go to Dallas now, as Ian Rapoport says that the Cowboys are targeting pass rush help. Shocker, they don't have a good pass rush without Micah Parsons. Here's what he had to say on Dallas. He said, the Cowboys have been in just about every trade article known to man, and this one is no exception. Arden Key and the Dolphins' Jalen Phillips, he got traded this morning. We'll talk about that. And Bradley Chubb and the Raiders' Malcolm Kuntz are among the edge rushers who could be traded. Now, Jalen Phillips landed elsewhere in the NFC East, the Philadelphia Eagles, for a third-round pick going back to Miami. Could that be kind of the range of value that these pass rushers are going to go for? Certainly could be this case, especially for a guy like Jermaine Johnson, potentially. I think for Dallas, it's kind of simple. If they win tonight, I would expect them to make a move. If they don't and they're 3-5-1, I'm not sure they do make a trade. Rapport also said they could trade away Mozzie Smith, who has not worked out there. I think that's a move that could happen. But you look at how crowded the NFC is right now. Even if Dallas wins tonight, they become the 10th team in the NFC, or 11th team, that are 500 or better. So it is a crowded conference right now with teams jockeying for playoff spots. They lose, fall to 3-5-1. They are behind the 8 ball, and I don't know if forcing the issue on a trade really makes a ton of sense. So I think they will make a move if they win tonight. If they lose, I'm not so sure. I don't think they'll make a move, in the next few hours. I think Jerry and Steven will wait and see what happens tonight and then make a decision from there. All right, we are sponsored by PrizePicks. The best daily fantasy sports app out there is PrizePicks. The hard-hitting football action is even better with PrizePicks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on PrizePicks by getting $50 instantly on lineups when you play your first $5. It's very easy to navigate the PrizePicks app, as you can toggle by sports and then specific stats for certain players as you start to make your lineups. What does a lineup look like, you ask? Well, it's very simple. You pick 2 or more players, regardless of sport, and pick more or less on the stat projections available: passing yards, rushing yards, receiving yards, points, rebounds, assists in basketball, three-pointers, goals in hockey and soccer. It's all out there for you guys. PrizePicks, by the way, is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. Want to pick your favorite quarterbacks more on pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns? You can do so right now only on PrizePicks. Simple two-player lineup for tonight. I like more on both quarterbacks, Dak Prescott's passing yards and Jacoby Brissett's passing yards. Dak has been on a heater this year, and the Cowboys' defense stinks, and Jacoby Brissett's actually played well, filling in for Kyler Murray. That's actually pass plus rush for Jacoby, by the way, so you might get a little rushing yards in there as well. $20 entry to win $60. Check it out today. Download the PrizePicks app right now. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, let's head out west. The 49ers could potentially trade Jauan Jennings, according to Ian Rapoport, although it sounds like it's not super likely. Here's what he had to say about that situation. He said, 49ers receiver Jauan Jennings has been a curiosity on the trade market, with some of the teams that tried to trade for him prior to training camp interested again. A trade of Jennings isn't off the table, but with Brandon Aiyuk still coming back from last year's season-ending knee injury, it's not considered likely. Teams will continue to call, though. And Jauan Jennings has not had the same caliber year that he had a year ago. Last year, he flirted with 1,000 yards. I think he had like 8 or 9 touchdowns, had a breakout season while all their other weapons were going down. This year, with pieces around him injured, he just has not been as productive. He's on pace to, have maybe like 600-700 yards this year. Still fine, but not the caliber of player he was a year ago. He's deleting stuff off social media. He wanted more money before the season. Seems like he's still upset about that. I still think for the Niners, I'd keep Jennings. If I'm still trying to win this year, which at 6-3, I assume the 49ers are. There's a report from Ricky a minute ago, which we might dive into on another video, that they're exploring the pass rush market. But I think you still need Jauan Jennings on your team for now, at least for this year. Long term, that could be an offseason discussion among Kyle Shanahan and that front office, but I think you have to keep him. I don't know when Ayuk's going to get back. Pearsall's been out. Kittle's been in and out. They're giving McCaffrey so many touches, like somebody else has to, get the football, and Jauan Jennings can at least do a little bit of that. Plus, he's a great blocker in the run game. How about Jacoby Myers? Let's dive into the latest on what's going on with him and the Las Vegas Raiders. Rap Sheet said this about Myers, saying the Raiders remain open to dealing Jacoby Myers, but given that he is an expiring contract and Las Vegas wants to finish the season strong, it remains up in the air if it'll happen. There is some interest, but is there enough? Why would you keep Jacoby Myers? Rapoport just said it in there. He's an expiring contract. They want to finish strong. Well, okay, had they won yesterday and beat the Jags and proved to 3-5, I still don't think the Raiders would all of a sudden have like this good season, but at least like there's some glimmer of hope. Okay, Geno played better out of the bye week. Brought Bowers is healthy. Maybe this team can be somewhat viable the rest of the year and get some momentum into 2026, but they lost that game. Jacoby Myers is an expiring contract, and I keep saying this. They drafted Jack Besh in the second round, who they're not playing much. Dante Thornton's like a part-time player. Get the young guys out there. You're 2-6. You really want to – if you wanted to pay Jacoby Myers, you would have done it already. So I don't get these teams who aren't contending that hang on to aging rentals. It just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, you might as well get something for them. Look, if the best offer is like a 6, that's one thing. But you're telling me not a single team out there on a market that no receivers have been traded yet will offer a 4 for Jacoby Myers? I find that hard to believe. If that's on the table for Vegas, they should take it. And then lastly, the Jets and the Saints continue to get peppered with calls from other teams as they each have a lot of players that intrigue other teams, and obviously both teams should be sellers as they're not contending anytime soon. Rap sheet on the Jets saying, similar to the Titans, the Jets in New Orleans, we'll get to the Saints in a minute, have gotten plenty of calls for their top players. Brees Hall, Quentin Williams, and Jermaine Johnson have drawn headlines for the Jets. I've said this, and I'll continue to say this. Brees Hall, I would trade, especially if it's a day 2 pick. If you get a third, you should run that trade to the NFL office before the other team takes it off. Not because Brees Hall is a bad player. He's only 24 still. He's very talented. You're just not close if you're the Jets. You want to pay a running back whose contract is expiring $12, $13 million per year on a 3+ year deal, because that's what it's going to take. If you think he's the difference and being competitive next year, okay, fair, but what evidence do you have of that? He's having arguably the best year of his career, and you've won 1 football game. So that's an easy trade to me. Quentin Williams, I understand if you don't get a proper offer, keeping him. Jermaine Johnson, he's a young player too. I get that, but Brees Hall, to me, that's a no-brainer. I would be trading Brees Hall immediately if I was the new York Jets. And then as we get to the Saints here, Rap Sheet said, while it's Chris Olave, Alvin Kamara, and Rashid Shaheed for New Orleans, all would require a high price, perhaps too high for what acquiring teams would want to pay. Kamara's made his stance clear. He doesn't want to get traded, so I don't think that's very likely. He's also not having a great year, so I don't think he'd get that much for him, given his contract. I think it's simple for the Saints at receiver. Brandon Cooks has been linked in trades as well. Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, pick one, trade the other one. I get not trading both. I would keep one too. It sounds like they're leaning toward keeping Olave. Rossini has reported that they want to extend him, so maybe they end up keeping him and trading Rashid. I just don't think keeping both makes a lot of sense. You're going to have to pay Shaheed this offseason as well. So pick one, trade the other, and move forward. That is what I would be doing. I would also trade Brandon Cooks. I would be trading a lot of these older guys, too, if I was the Saints. Demario Davis, does someone want him? Cam Jordan, does someone want him? I know Alvin Kamara doesn't want to be traded, but, if someone would take him and he'd be open to it, I'd be trading him, too. Like, get rid of all these aging vets that the Saints have and finally turn the page. I mean, Mickey Loomis has done such a poor job with the cap management and keeping all these aging players and kicking money down the road. Like, at some point, you just got to kind of rip the Band-Aid off and commit to a full rebuild. Who will be the best player traded at the deadline this year? Let us know down in the comments. Jalen Phillips today, is that the biggest one we're going to get? Hopefully we get a few more. We'll have to wait and see. My name is Harrison Graham. We will continue to monitor everything on the trade market. We'll also have a Monday Night Football reaction plus more trade buzz tonight on an episode once Cowboys and Cardinals conclude. So subscribe and join us for that. We are so close to 13,000 subs. Let's get there. Appreciate the support. See you guys soon.